You have to have the attitude that you're buying part of a business and not that you're buying something that wiggles around on a chart or that has resistance zones or 200-day moving averages or that you buy puts or calls on or anything like that. You're buying part of a business. And if you buy intelligently into a business, you're going to make money. And then you have to buy something that, in my view, which you do if you're buying a business, that you're not going to get a quote on for 5 years, that they're going to close the stock exchange tomorrow for 5 years, and that you'll be happy owning it as a business. If you owned Coca-Cola, it didn't really make any difference in 1920. When I went public, the important thing was what I was doing with customers. And you probably would have been better off if there wasn't any market in it for 30 or 40 years, because then you wouldn't have gotten tempted to sell it. And you just watch the business and you'd watch it grow and you'd feel happy. So the proper attitude toward investing is much more important than any technical skills. Look for the people that actually are examples to you rather than somebody that you think you need to straighten out yourself. And simple rules like that, delighting customers, working through other people, associating with people that will cause you to move in a better path than you might otherwise have. They will take you so far in life that it's hard to believe. I tell people, if they're going in the investment business, if you got 160 IQ, sell 30 points to somebody else because you won't need it. I mean, I figured out very early, you don't have to be that smart in this business, which is fortunate, but you do have to have the right temperament. And you have to be able to ignore what other people are saying and simply look at the facts and decide, is this stock which is selling at X worth 2X? And occasionally you'll find things like that. And when you don't find them, you don't do anything. So that's my generalized stock tip, no names. You've got to be prepared to, when you buy a stock, to have it go down 50% or more and be comfortable with it as long as you're comfortable with the holding. I will tell you a wonderful book to read. I can tell you a number of them. Intelligent Investor, obviously, if you're in the investment field, but Katharine Graham's autobiography is a marvelous book, and it's absolutely honest, told by an incredible woman who had an incredible life and then wrote honestly about it. Some people can handle it psychologically. If you can't handle it psychologically, then you really shouldn't own stocks because you're going to buy and sell them at the wrong time. And you should not count on somebody else telling you this. You should do something you understand yourself. If you don't understand it yourself, you're going to be affected by the next person you talk to. And so you should be in a position to hold. And I don't know whether today is a great day to buy stocks. I know it will work out over 20 or 30 years. I don't know whether it'll work out over 2 years at all. I have no idea whether you'll be ahead or behind on a stock you buy on Monday morning.
What are the factors that you have to be, that you're looking for? What test? I'm looking for durable competitive advantage. I'm looking for something that has a moat around it for a considerable period of time. And I'm looking for an honest and able management to run it, because I don't know how to run it myself. And I'm looking for a purchase price that's not excessive, but it's better to pay a little too much for something that's a very good business than it is to buy some bargain, but really a company without much of a future. And I don't know, I don't have a ability to predict with a high probability of success the future of most companies. So I'm looking for the exception. But the nice thing is, if there's thousands of companies out there, I really only have to be right on a couple.
And that's, most people get in trouble in investments because they get itchy. You know, they can't discipline themselves, and they hear about other people making money. Nothing upsets people so much as to hear about their friends making money. I mean, that's very destructive to discipline, because they think, I'm smarter than that guy next door, and he just bought that new car with the money he made trading stocks on the internet, so why can't I? Well, the answer is you can't over time. You will lose money if you trade stocks actively. And it's hard to exercise the discipline.
Don't fear failure. Almost everything that's turned out, I got turned down by Harvard. The best thing ever happened. Among other some good things that happened that didn't seem good at the time. Don't worry about it. And don't let it eat at you or look back. Just keep going, because you're going to have some things and forget them. Go forward.
But I don't think you can you can get to be an expert on human behavior at all by reading books, no matter what your IQ is, no matter who the teacher is.
And I think that you really do learn a lot about human behavior. Sometimes you have to learn it by having multiple experiences. I actually think despite all the other shortcomings, and I can't do mental arithmetic as fast as I used to, and I can't read as fast as I used to, but I do think that I know a lot more about human behavior than I did when I was 25 or 30.
If you're going to get married, and you want a marriage that's going to last, not necessarily the happiest marriage, or one that Martha Stewart will talk about or anything, but you want a marriage that's going to last. What quality do you look for in a spouse? One quality. Do you look for brains? Do you look for humor? Do you look for character? Do you look for beauty? No. You look for low expectations. I mean, that is the marriage that's going to last. Both have low expectations. I mean, and I want my partners to be on the low side on expectations coming in, because I want the marriage to last. It's a financial marriage when they join me at Berkshire, and I don't want them to think I'm going to do things that I'm not going to do. So that's our guiding principle. The advice is all free, and your marital advice, everything else.
I mean, what you want is that customer the next day when they think, do I want to rent a car or do I want to buy some furniture? What goes through their mind? It's the place where they've had a great experience. I don't know what I paid for this tie. Actually, probably if somebody gave it to me, but for the purposes of this speech, I will say I have no idea. But or the shirt I'm wearing, or this. But I do know, I will remember how I was treated when I bought it. I mean, you long forget about the price, but you never forget whether you had a good experience or a poor experience with the purchase experience.
But anytime you buy something, you should be able to take out a one-page sheet of paper and say, I'm buying General Motors at 65. I'm buying General Electric at 150 because. And you should write down the reasons. If you can't fill out the sheet, if it's because somebody told me about it at a cocktail party last night, that's not good enough. If it's because my broker told me about it, that's not good enough. You've got to have a reason for thinking that it makes an intelligent investment. You do the same thing if you're buying a farm or an apartment house. If you're buying a farm, you'd say, I'm buying this farm at $1,000 an acre because I think I can earn $60 an acre on it. If corn sells at such and such, and soybean sells at such and such, and yield is such and such. And you'd figure it out. That's the same reason you buy businesses. And when you buy stocks, you're buying a little piece of a business. And that's probably the most important thing to remember in investing, is that when you are buying a stock, you're buying a little piece of the business.
Who in 1939 in August signed the most important letter perhaps in the history of the United States. And you can go to the internet and go to search Bing. And and just type in Einstein, Roosevelt, 1939. Leo Szilard and Albert Einstein, two immigrants, came here. They came directly from Germany. Szilard came from Hungary before that. And they told President Roosevelt that the Germans were likely to develop an atom bomb, which was likely to work. It's less than a full page, and we better get to work on something fast. And that the Manhattan Project came out of that. And if it hadn't been for those two immigrants, who knows whether we'd be sitting in this room.
If you buy something like Bitcoin or some cryptocurrency, you don't have anything that's producing anything. You're just hoping the next guy pays more. And you only feel you'll find the next guy to pay more if he thinks he's going to find somebody that's going to pay more. Now, if you ban trading in farms, you could still buy farms and have a perfectly decent investment. If you ban trading in apartment houses or even in equities, if you ban trading in Berkshire Hathaway for the next 5 years, our investors would do fine, over time. But if you ban trading in tulip bulbs, or if you ban trading in some Bitcoin, which nobody knows exactly what it is, people would say, well, why in the world would I buy it? And you aren't investing when you do that. You're speculating. There's nothing wrong with it. If you want to gamble, somebody else will come along and pay you more money tomorrow. That's one kind of game. That is not investing.
would say that in terms of the index fund, I would just take a very broad index. I would take the S&P 500 as long as I wasn't putting all my money in at one time. If I were going to put money into a index fund in relatively equal amounts over a 20 or 30 year period, I would pick a fund. And I know Vanguard has very low costs. I'm sure there are a whole bunch of others that do. I just haven't looked at the field. But I would be very careful about the costs involved, because all they're doing for you is buying that index. I think that the people who buy those index funds on average will get better results than the people that buy funds that have higher costs attached to them.
I had fun when I was in my 20s, my 30s. Now I'm 86 and I'm having fun. And so I advise students as much as possible, look for the job that you would take if you didn't need a job. I mean, don't sleepwalk through life, and don't say it's all going to be great. I'll do this and I'll do that, and I'm just marking time to be older. That, as I've told people, that's like saving up sex for your old age. I mean, it just is not it is not a good idea. Yeah. You really want to be doing what you love doing, and you can't necessarily find it on your first job.
Right.
But don't give up before you find it. I had been interested in investments since I was maybe 7 or 8, but I'd never. And I'd read every book in the Omaha Public Library by the time I was 11.
So why do you think you were interested in investing when you were 7 or 8?
Because I was too dumb to get interested at 4.